best bikes of 2026 for you right now. How do I know what bikes are best? I don't fully, but I have some good ideas for you to check out. I'm gonna give you our best thoughts on moto, trail, dual sport, and even a few kids bikes for you. The first big news is Kawasaki's making a two-stroke, returning to a two-stroke since like 07. So close to 20 years since they've had a two-stroke. Top motocross bike, they've had 85s, but now they're gonna talk about having a bigger bike. Unfortunately, with that big news comes no news. They announced this in January with a commercial during Supercross, and we've heard nothing. It's been a ghost. The rumors we're hearing is 300. I've talked to some other people, dirt bike, and I get some other good sources to get some info, and we've heard nothing on that bike, unfortunately. My guess is they make a 300. Also, my guess is that it's not a new generation 250 or 300 with a counterbalancer like the KTM has. We've been really spoiled with the KTM style bikes with electric start with a counterbalancer. They don't vibrate. I'm concerned that this Kawasaki might be a lot like a YZ250, very simple, similar to their design from 07. Still have a carburetor, which is not a bad thing. So we'll wait and see. Hopefully we get some news soon. Now, with the current group of motocross bikes, the big news is that there is no news. There's only one bike that changes for 2026 and all the main bikes we deal with. That's kind of a strange thing, right, Donnie? So we're seeing a big slowdown in new bike development.
Yeah, it is. What do we always call it when it's not a new bike?
Bold new graphics.
Bold new BNG.
Yeah. So this year, just the YZ450, 2026 YZ450 has got some updates. And I think from what I can tell, talking to guys who really ride 450s more and have ridden everything else, the YZ450 is much improved. Easier to ride, still has the great suspension, and they did some chassis changes to help it handle better. So that YZ450 is probably still at the top, in that top tier of the class.
I know that they've changed that bike, obviously, since they changed the motor design, the unique motor design they have. But that bike has actually been only improving its whole life. It's never really gone backwards.
Right. And the only other bikes that are kind of new would be a Triumph 450 and a Ducati 450 motocross bikes. Now they've also Triumph has made a C version and a E version. These are cross country and an enduro version, and Ducati has an EDX version. Those two versions, from what I understand from those guys, are very limited, kind of like what Kawasaki and Honda, a lot of the manufacturers have been doing, where it doesn't get an updated transmission. It only gets an 18-inch rear wheel. It gets a kickstand, a bigger tank. That's about it. They really don't get updated.
As long as E doesn't mean electric, I'm fine.
Right. All right, so that's where we're at on there. As far as the new bikes, that there's not a lot happening there other than those new models. So we're going to talk first about 250 motocross bikes. For me, the Yamaha and the KTM bikes are the top of the class. The Yamaha has the best suspension stock. It's got great power. It's a good overall bike for about anybody that's looking for a 250F. It costs less than the Austrian bikes and has better suspension stock. Okay, at a close second, I have the KTM group of bikes. And the reason that I like these bikes is that the engines are very durable, they last a long time, and I feel very comfortable on the bikes. Whether it's the steel frame of the bike, they just feel great. They don't need much modifications other than the front forks. These bikes cost more than the Japanese bikes, and for most guys, you're gonna wanna upgrade the forks. So that's still where I'm at. I think the Yamaha and then the KTM 250 SXF, Husqvarna FC 250, and the GasGas, I think it's MC 250. All those bikes would be similar. The GasGas gets a little bit lesser components as far as brakes. They don't have Brembos. They got brake tech, that kind of stuff. So I think you're fine with those bikes. That's how I feel how the 250 class shakes out. Now with this 450 class, which we touched on, the Yamaha 450 is new. I think the results are very similar as the 250. I think the YZ 450 with a CRF 450 right there close, and then the KTM group of bikes are going to be right there. And again, I think the KTM group of bikes would be winners if they didn't have the air forks. That's the problem. Most people would prefer a dual spring fork, a closed cartridge fork, which they do have on their 24, 25, 350 XCF. All the XCF models have that good fork, which is really nice. I don't know why they haven't transitioned it over to the dirt bikes, to the motocross bikes yet, but I have got good word that the factory editions that come out, say this January, the factory editions are going to have full-on works, cone valve, and track shock stock on the factory editions.
Is that going to increase the purchase price over what it was before?
I would sure assume so. I don't see how it doesn't. I don't think it's going to be crazy, but it's still going to be a lot more. So maybe it's, maybe $1,000 more than the factory edition used to be. So the factory editions are like $1,000 more, $1,500 more than stock. So
but you getting that suspension is definitely a real upgrade.
Right. And that might be but now that same bike is going to be $4,000 more than a YZ450 or whatever that comes with good fork stock with the KYB forks. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And so I think our winners in that class are kind of similar with those bikes, adding in the Honda 450 as a close bike in there. So that's how we see it. And you go, what about the Triumph and Ducati? Both are going to be good bikes. The Triumph, I've gotten good feedback. I've ridden the 250. I really like it. It's a good bike. 450, similar feelings. Everybody I've talked to that's ridden it really likes it. My problem is I don't want to be the guinea pig. It's a brand new bike, brand new manufacturer to this arena. And I would prefer to wait, ride stuff I know, invest my money there, and not, now if you have the luxury of maybe having a backup bike, I would be concerned. I just am concerned about having that. I've talked to a good friend who has a Ducati, and he's got a few weeks on the bike now already. He's gone up one tooth on the rear sprocket. And then everything else he can't get fixed because the mapping's a little bit off. It just runs dirty and it's not as clean on the bottom. He's got to keep it kind of revved to get past that dirty spot. And there's not much he can do about it right now without extra mapping help, right?
Right.
So you're kind of hosed. So that takes care of the motocross bikes. Not a lot going on there, but those are my thoughts on some of the best bikes in the class. Again, you always hear this, but you can't really go wrong with any of the bikes. All the bikes are so good and so close, but those are the ones I lean towards in those classes, in the motocross bikes. Now we'll go to trail bikes. Okay. Trail bikes. First, we'll talk about two strokes. The KTM has probably the best two strokes. There are, Beta has some bikes that could fall into some of this category, but KTM, Husqvarna, GasGas are kind of the bikes we think of. And they have the TBI bikes now, which is a lot better than the TPI bikes. Durability seems good. A lot of good things about the TBI bikes. So they have an XC300, XC250 also, XC250, XC300 from the KTM. And then with Husqvarna, they make a TX version and a TE version. Now, the problem with these bikes right now, these TBI bikes, my problem is the XC and from KTM and the TX from Husqvarna. These bikes are kind of too fast. They're really like SXs. Even though they've changed the transmission, they're still pretty gnarly. I think it would be easier to make a too fast a bike slower, with mapping. Jamie at Twisted's done some mapping and different things to help them. So that helps. The TE and the XCW versions of these bikes on the Husky and KTM side are kind of almost too slow. They're not. We need that in between.
You sound like Goldilocks.
Right. So Goldilocks wants just right. And so right now our choices with those TBI bikes, and everybody knows that I still prefer totally the carbureted. 2019 was the last year of the carbureted KTM Husqvarna 300, and there we would get the XC. It wasn't too fast. It was just right. And with mods, it's even better. It's just much more controllable and easier to ride. So as far as two strokes go, if you're a faster guy racing, I would recommend the XC. If you're a slower, older guy wanting everything good about a 300, I think you're going to be totally happy with a TE 300 or an XCW 300. The TE 300 has a linkage, which I kind of prefer, or the PDS and the XCW version.
Isn't it funny that you like a four-stroke better fuel injected and a two-stroke better carbureted?
Right. It is kind of strange, right? Like how there's a difference, but there is a difference for sure. So on the carbureted bikes, on the two strokes, we would prefer that carburetor, as you said. It just gives it everything. And the jetting is not that hard. You can run a JD jetting kit on the Key-In carb or Electron. You don't have to hardly change that thing from 2,000 feet up to 10,000 feet. It's just totally fine. We've talked about this before, but when you're running at 10,000 feet, you're not doing supercross triples, right? You're just having fun. You're cruising. You're getting up there and come back. So it's okay if you're a little bit rich on the jetting at 10,000 feet. It's okay. So that's why I prefer, if I was to lean towards anybody to buy a current TBI 300, I would say buy the TE 300, which is the Husky version, which it has a linkage and is a little bit easier to ride. There are companies that have some mods like two-stroke performance. There's other people that have mods that will help you get some more power out of it. And that's where I'd probably lean. And I think the TE has the better lighting coil than the XC. So that's my thoughts on the trail bikes. And then as far as 4-strokes go, the best bike is still the 350 XCF. Just like what we have. A really funny story on that is, you're not going to believe this, they don't offer a 2026 350 XCF. You're like, why? They have a 25 and a half factory edition only available. That tells me they made a bunch of factory editions that they maybe had pipes for. They have the mufflers from FMF, whatever. They had a bunch of factory editions, so they only have the factory edition.
So they're just trying to
just get rid of that one.
Get those out.
We all know about the problems that they've had as a company. So, and the factory editions are gorgeous. They got the better clamps, different wheels, little things like that. So I think it was Caleb Russell, but he's gone. So I don't know what they called it now, but it's a different edition. So it's called a factory edition.
Yeah.
On the 350
and
XCF.
Of course, an orange frame.
Right. So if you want a current 350 XCF, which I think is great, and just my thoughts on the 350 XCF is 24 and up is a great bike with the good closed cartridge forks, dual spring forks, what we needed on the motocross bikes, right? So you have the good forks. I like those. The 25 and up has the improved transmission. The ratios are better than the bikes we have. When I rode them that day, ours, we go up 2 teeth in the rear, and the stock one, I think we could run stock gearing on a 25, 26 350 XCF. I think we're totally fine to run stock gearing. So that's why I think the transmission's a little bit better on the 25, 26. So that's still the most favorite bike.
In what way is it a little better? Does it?
Oh, I think the ratios, we have to go up because the first was too low. We had to add 2 teeth.
That's what I mean. So first was too low.
Too low. Where on the 25, 26 range bikes, that first is just right. It's kind of where we were going up 2 teeth, and it still has the wide ratio and still has 6 gears. So I'm totally thinking I'd love to get a 25 or a factory edition if I can save enough pennies and find a good deal on one.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I need to look for. But officially, from what I understand, they are not going to have a 2026 regular 350 XCF. Kind of a bummer.
Kind of a bummer. But you could still get basically the new bike.
Right. Then as honorable mentions, I will go YZ450 FX. That's what Spencer's been riding. 25, 26 will be the same. That bike won't get those YZ450 updates that the motocross bike got until 27. So we're not going to see those. But that's still a great bike. The CRF 450 RX is a good bike. And so is the KTM 450 XCF. The difference being the 450 XCF gets a 6-speed transmission. Those other big...
Is there a 26 450 XCF?
Yes. The big Japanese bikes, they only get a 5-speed. They don't want to spend that time and effort in making it different. Yeah. So unfortunately, and I would prefer a 6-speed transmission on any trail bike, which the 350 does. People go, why do you need 6-speed? You're not going 100 miles an hour. It really helps on connecting trails and dirt roads. You're in 6th gear going 45, 50 miles an hour. So it's not like you're going 90. You're just cruising. You're taking lug off the engine. It's more comfortable to cruise in 6th gear. So that's why I prefer it. So it's really nice to have. So the only other bike that I might add to this trail bike list, the best bikes, would be a YZ250 FX. For guys that are racing in that lower CC class, a YZ250 FX is a great bike and one I'd prefer. My problem in comparing if I had to choose between a smaller displacement size bike, I'd prefer a 2-stroke, even that TE or XCW KTM versus a 4-stroke 250F. The 4-stroke 250F on tight trails is too hard to blip over those rocks and roots if you're not as skilled, which we are, don't have those kind of skills to be able to do it. I promise you, I know that Cody Webb or whatever can hop on a YZ250FX and do whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I can't. And so that's why I prefer to be on the 350 XCF or on the 300. So that's why I think those are some of the best bikes you can buy as trail bikes are those. And then,
so if you have to get one trail bike for the rest of your life right now, what would it be?
It's still the 350 XCF. Okay. Just like that's still where we're at.
Yep.
I like that I have a 300 now. We've shown that one that we built that was in Dirt Bike Magazine. I'm probably going to keep that for a long time. I'll use it in some mountain conditions, but I still...
Don't you have to sell it back to the previous owner if you sell it?
Yeah, I think that was the deal.
So
the other caveat to this, people are going to ask about the Ducati and Triumph. Again, on the trail bikes, they both have a trail version. Again, I still would be cautious and rather pump the brakes on being the guinea pig on...
Do we know if those are going to have a 6-speed transmission?
No, I looked up everything I see. It's all still 5-speed.
All 5-speed.
So again, You get the big tank, softer suspension settings.
That's what you already mentioned. So basically,
kickstand.
it's like the motocross version. Maybe mapping has to be changed, right?
Yeah, they do a little bit different mapping. So I would pump the brakes and wait on those bikes another year or two. Let them play out, see what happens. Talk to some friends that own them, see how it plays out for them. That's what I would recommend on these brand new models. Nothing against them. I'm sure they're going to be good bikes, but out of the gate, you have problems. A lot of those dealer networks they're not as friendly with dirt bike guys as what we're used to. We're used to walking into a Honda shop or a Yamaha shop or a KTM shop, and most of the guys, they really understand our problems. Like if we have a problem with a brand new bike, most of the guys there will be understanding.
There's half the guys behind those counters that ride.
Right. So they understand if you have a problem with your brand new bike, they understand how upset you are, and they want to try to help you get it fixed. They want to figure out what's going on. They're going to help you call Yamaha, work on the problem, or KTM. They're going to try to help you solve this problem. And I've seen it over the last years. We've had some of these problems happen. I think COVID didn't help, but we have different quality issues and problems happen, and our dirt bike dealers are amazing. Now, Ducati and Triumph both are more street-oriented companies, and I don't know that they're as passionate about dirt bikes as we are and dirt bike guys. So I think that's one. It's going to take a little while for that to take effect at those companies.
Right.
All right. So now it's on to dual sports, and this creates the same problem. You and I already know what I'm talking about. The first thing I'm going to tell you is I get a lot of emails about 350s. Guys want to buy a 350, and I think one of the reasons is it's a little bit cheaper to buy the bike, and they think 500 is too much. Well, I can tell you right now, for a guy that only rides a 250 at the track, a 300 or a 350 on the trail, a 500 is not too much on a dual sport. It's not. So you're riding on the street and dirt roads, a 500 is totally fine. And I've ridden my 500 dual sport, my ES 500, which is the GasGas version, the new one, so 24, which is the same. This new generation bike is so good. Now you do have to, no matter what dual sport you buy a Yamaha, Yamaha doesn't have one. A Honda CR450 XL has one. Any dual sport you buy, if you want to run like it should, you're going to need to do an ECU mod. So you have to do that no matter what. And with a slip-on muffler, you're going to have to do that. So those things aside, that's why I think, and these new dual sports, not the GasGas version, but the KTM version and the Husky version have the new closed cartridge good forks, dual spring forks. So they come with really good forks stock. So that's amazing. I was able to switch mine out on my bikes to good forks. I got WP kits in mine, so I'm real happy with ours with the good forks. So it's pretty amazing. These bikes, so the 500 EXC, the Husky version, the FE 501, whatever they call it, right?
Yep.
And the ES 500. These are the bikes to choose from for dual sporting. There's no other bikes. Everything else, everything aftermarket and everything is supported so well for these KTM bikes. That's why I'd really recommend those bikes as your choice.
Dozens and dozens and dozens of companies that hop up these bikes.
Yes, and you can buy Takomoto, True North, Motos. These guys have all kinds of kits and parts for these bikes to get rid of the blinkers, to trim it down with a tie detail kit, better switches, all these different things. So yes, you're going to spend money on these things, but I can tell you right now, you asked me what the only trail bike I would have would be that bike. If it came down to only one bike, no dual sport, it would be the 500. I've done most of the trails that I do out in the desert and everything, that it's tight single track stuff we do. I've done it on our 500 and it's just fine.
Is the KTM version, the Husky and the GasGas are non-PDS on the...
Yes.
And the
KTM is PDS.
And the KTM BDS.
Which for those that don't know, means it doesn't have a linkage. It just has one shock, which isn't the end of the world. It used to be terrible, 15 years ago. It's pretty dang good now. You're not riding Supercross with it. You're dual sporting.
Why does KTM do that, where they put those two with linkage and the KTM without?
I don't know that we can answer these questions as why they do what they do, because I think it should have a choice on the KTM. Myself, I don't know. A lot of guys like it on off-road situations, that it's easier to get over logs. There's nothing hanging down. And some people like the performance of the PDS shock. So that's something that's out there. So that's for dual sports. So we have our winner there of the KTM EXC, or I would kind of lean towards the FE 500 from Husky, if given the choice, because it has a linkage. And with the linkage, I'm shorter. It's easier to get to sit down a little bit lower, move the forks up. I'm a little more comfortable.
I can tell you that I don't even notice it.
You're right.
So mine is PDS, and I don't even notice it.
Right. We should bring our boat. Next time we have them both out together, let's do that and maybe check getting off and on each one and ride them both back to back in sections. You know, we need to do that. We don't go out too often together on those bikes, so we'll try to do that. Okay, now kids bikes. You guys ready? You ready for this? My favorite bike is a CRF 110 because. And it's over the TTR 110 and the KLX 110. These are perfect bikes for kids that are like, depending upon the size of the kid, 6 to 11, 12, okay? You know, can fit on there. I can ride these bikes around just fine. So it fits a wide range of kids. This is the bike that I think is a great intro to riding because most of them are 3 speeds, shift. The reason I like the Honda better, fuel injection. You like that better, Donnie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, no carburetor to deal with. But again, you still need to drain that tank out if you're going to let it sit for a few months. Donnie's learned that firsthand, right?
Yep.
So you still got to do that. He let one of his bikes sit for like a while. Yeah. And one of his fuel-injected little bikes, was it the Grom?
Grom.
The Grom. And it ate it up. So,
yeah, it destroyed the fuel injector.
And the fuel pump. Fuel pump. Okay.
Destroyed both of them.
All right. So our fuel is terrible. So on these small bikes, I recommend if you're going to let it sit for more than a few weeks, a month, drain that gas out.
Yeah, maybe it was like 2 months that I hadn't ridden it, and that was it.
Yep. The next bike that I like for the kids' bike is a CRF 125F, the one I got from you.
Hey, it's funny because, you know, older guys think, I'm going to get them a YZ85. And it's like, because that's the only choice we had when we were young is to ride a YZ80. Right. But they're basically full-blown race bikes now. So buying them the CRF 125 and the 110 is an amazing option for kids to start out riding on.
And I have this theory, which I have in our other video that we're doing that talks about why for best bikes for kids specifically and why the reasons are. But basically, you want kids to be happy and have fun. If it's going to be difficult, hard to start, a pain to keep it running, all those types of things, you lost the kid, right? And if he's easier to fall, crash, you lost him. He's not into it anymore. You want to keep him into it, him or her into riding. That's the ticket. Now, now those are the best kids bikes I like. That CRF 125F because it's fuel injected. Also, that's a great beginner bike or good for your wife or girlfriend. And then race bikes. 2-strokes 85s. I'm going to go with YZ85 for more fun, KTM 85 for race. Those 2 bikes. But the KTM 85 is way more money and more racy. Probably going to take more maintenance to stay on. The YZ85. Good and reliable, strong. Going to last a good time if you're just having fun with it.
Do both options give you big wheels as well, small and big wheels?
No, you have to kind of build your own. Yamaha now has an 85 big wheel. I don't think KTM even offers a big wheel version. You have to build your own, as far as I know. So someone will correct us on that. Yeah. Maybe we'll throw it up on the screen if I find out before this video goes out.
Sounds good.
So those are the best bikes that I think there are from 2026 to choose from. We also have a really good video on buying used bikes, things to look for. You can go look up that video. We'll have a link in it in this description of this show. Also, if you're looking at shopping for bikes, one of the things I offer guys for free is if you email me the link to the ad you're thinking about. I look at this for guys all the time. I'll give them my pros and cons. They'll send me 2 or 3 links and I'll give my pros and cons on my thoughts on those used bikes. So I don't mind doing that for guys. Out in California, the market is really rich as far as for us to go buy used bikes. When you're in some areas, Wisconsin,
you have to drive 300 miles to
they could drive really far. And it's like, I understand their hesitation and concern. So it's a lot different than what we have to deal with.
I take it for granted because I was like, oh, what do I want? I look at Orange County, LA, San Diego, pretty much get whatever I want.
Tons of bikes for sale out here and good deals on bikes. Guys don't have as much cash. Guys are hurting or whatever. They got to sell it or whatever, or they just want to upgrade and they need to sell it. They can't get much trade. They can't get much trade in, so they want to get rid of it. So those are my thoughts on that. So we're glad to help you on those used bikes as well. So, because not everyone's affording brand new bikes, I get that. But this gives you an idea of what we think are kind of the best bikes to look for 2026. I'm looking forward to riding a bunch of those new bikes as they come out. I have fun on all the bikes. And I will tell you again that the bikes are all so close that they're, I can accomplish everything on whichever bike, right? My lap times aren't going to be drastically faster on one bike versus the other. A lot of times for me, it's about comfort and feel and how I feel.
But I've noticed something in this last year's round of bikes when you got on a certain brand, you thought it was amazing. And then as you rode it longer, you realized you didn't like it as much as you thought initially.
Yes, that happens, you know, and we have the luxury of riding other things. So when I hop on something else and I go, oh, my bike's not as good. And that's where it's nice that you can do that now and then, hop on something else and go.
Yeah, most people can't afford that.
Right. I want to see how this feels. So
right.
That's why kind of the bikes that I talked about there, hopefully it helped you guys out. And you can always email me with any questions. Glad to help you guys out. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time on the Tracker Trail.
See ya.
2026 Motocross and Enduro dirt bikes get me so pumped. Yamaha YZ450 is the one updated for 2026. They made the power easier to ride, fix the handling mix. Yamaha still brings the best stock suspension to the specs. There are some new brands to choose from in 2026. Options on the floor, take your pick. Triumph from England, assembled in Thailand. The GOAT says they're the best. Word spreads through the grandstands. Their 250 motocross team surprised us all, rolling out hot, answering the call. Which new bike will you choose for 2026? Is there a wrong choice? No, twist the grip, feel the fix. If you're riding dirt bikes, you're already winning life. Go ride, buy a new dirt bike. Go ride, buy a new dirt bike. Italy's Ducati, new to the motocross game, fame in MotoGP, bringing that tech, that flame. We're excited for this high-tech player to spark a fight with the Japanese and Austrians under stadium lights. In the 250 market, the YZ250F is still the king. For Deegan and the kids, hear the blue bike say. For dual sports, the 500EXC and FE501. Best to choose when the long day rides are done. For the trails, KTM 350XCF is the boss of everything. Climbs, corners, flow, one bike to wear the rest. Two-stroke trail bikes, you can go 300XC, too fast, or 300XCW, kinda too slow for some paths. Kawasaki teased us 11 months ago. A big bike, two-stroke coming now. It's quiet though. Can Kawasaki make a great 300cc machine? Riders are waiting to see that green. Beta is there, making a move. New red lines with something to prove. For little bikes, the YZ85's good for a beginner rider. Play bikes, TTR,